welcome back. A Trek-tacular parody musical is coming to the stage of the Shea Smith Theater, and I'm joined now by some members of the cast to tell us all about Khan, the musical. Welcome, Joe and Len. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
Let's start off by talking about Khan, the musical, and what the story is about.
Absolutely. Well, Khan the musical is, the story of Khan starts with my character Data on the holodeck of the Starship Enterprise. And he figures, why not write a musical comedy about, beat for beat, almost, the events of Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. It's very, very funny, very zany, and hilarity ensues.
Well, the franchise Star Trek is obviously a classic, but the music in this show is completely original. So what can we expect from the score?
So with it being a parody musical, there is a lot of borrowing from other well-known shows in terms of like the styling of the songs, and it's actually worked into the plot. Since Data's an android, it is essentially what popping, a question into an AI would be like, hey, write me a musical. And a lot of the stuff that you'll see in the script is references to things that already exist or like stylized in a way. And in the middle of the show, he realizes that a lot of his songs are too similar to there's a song that sounds exactly like They Both Reached for the Gun from Chicago. And it's right after that scene where he's like, oh, this is blatant theft. Okay, I have to rework the simulation a little bit to be a little bit more original sounding. And it's a little nudge to people who do write musical theater, because we're all just borrowing from each other.
Yeah.
And, it does really make that more approachable for people who aren't familiar with Star Trek, but with other musicals, and they hear stuff that sounds similar, and they're like, oh, that's this. That's a reference to this. So it does help people.
Which is always fun, yeah. And well, that was my question. Will people still enjoy it if they're not necessarily Star Trek fans?
I think they absolutely will, because I'm sort of an early budding Trekkie. I never really got into the series before, but when I was exposed to this material and just started watching the show a little more, these characters are so lovable, even when they're exaggerated. I love the whole story. I love the cast of this show. I love my buddy Len here. We work so well with each other on stage and off, and the show has only reinforced that love.
Could I add something to that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Star Trek specifically as a sci-fi series, I feel like it scares people off who aren't into it already, because they think it's going to be all technobabble, all science, much like people who like theater are a little scared of Shakespeare. Star Trek's very much Shakespeare in space, and what makes this fun is it's like something rotten in space. So it's like, if you don't like, all the fancy sciencey talk, you're not going to have that in here. It's poking fun at it, and it's really presenting things in a way that everyone can digest and have fun with. So.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your characters. You mentioned that you played Data.
Data. Yes. I play Lieutenant Commander Data. I am an android that is specifically designed to learn everything about what it is to be human. So he tries to learn more about humanity by exploring the theater, which is why he writes this whole show.
Nice. And what about you, Len?
I'm playing Khan, the titular villain.
Okay. Stepping into your villain era.
Yes, yes.
And what is he going through?
So, in the second movie, Wrath of Khan, the villain is Khan, but he's a returning character from the original series. In episode 4, they run across an abandoned spacecraft full of people from the 90s, and in the 60s and 90s was the future. But essentially, they find a bunch of people who've been cryo-frozen. They wake them up and find out that they unfroze a bunch of dictators. So they narrowly escape with their lives, and they send the dictators off to an abandoned planet and just forget about them. This picks up where the dictators, I was the leader, and after years and years, specifically 15, of being abandoned on this planet, Starfleet, the main agency that the story follows, one of their representatives finds their way onto the planet that I'm inhabiting, and I immediately recognize them, and I'm like, oh, I finally have my chance to get back at this guy who abandoned me. And that's really what my motive is I'm just like, oh, I gotta find James Kirk. You are my ticket to finding James Kirk, and once I find James Kirk, I will kill him. And that's my whole vendetta.
I see, okay.
A lot of stakes.
The stakes are high.
Yeah.
How long is this show running for?
The show is running from the 16th to the 26th at the Shea Smith Theater.
Nice. And I know this is being presented by O'Connell and Company as well. Talk about what it's been like working with them.
It's honestly been really fun.
I've been with them before.
Yeah.
This is my first show with them.
Yeah, they do a parody Golden Girls series with drag performers, and I've been part of that series for like the past 2, going on 3 shows, because right after this, I'm doing a Golden Girls show. So I'm very familiar with O'Connell in like the silliest projects that they have, which is right up my alley. I won't do anything that's too serious. I like to have a nice dose of silly.
All right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this dose of silly. Thank you so much for coming in, YouTube viewers. If you would like to get your tickets and find out more information about the show, you can call the box office number on your screen or visit shays.org. Thanks again for coming in, and good luck with your run.
Thank you.